Today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp.com, and I've been with them for a long time. BetterHelp is an online platform where we found that you can effectively communicate with your therapist. Now, you begin by filling out a questionnaire, and then you'll be matched with a therapist within a couple of days. And if that match isn't ideal for you, you can certainly make an adjustment there. Now, you're going to be encouraged to journal, and also they have the availability for group therapy on a wide array of topics, and I really like that. So as the need exists, go ahead and take the necessary steps to get the help that you need. And just know that BetterHelp has a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, so it indeed is a platform you can trust. There's a link below the video that will take you there. Hey, Team Healthy. Glad to have you for another episode of Unbound. Gus and I welcome you. This is a way that I respond to questions and comments that you all send in, and it allows me to talk about some issues in a little bit more of a different kind of way than I might do as I have my other teaching videos. So I'm pleased for the people that have sent these comments in. If you have any questions or comments that you want to send in, put them in the comment section below, and I read them all. And then I'll copy and paste, and we'll see if what the future episodes of Unbound would bring us. Now, today we have a really interesting couple of questions that I want to get into, and that is, how early on in life does narcissism show up? When is it that we can say that a person truly begins to show themselves as a narcissist? Now, let's pull back. Every single one of us has our moments where we can be selfish, we can be controlling, we can be insensitive, which means a lack of empathy. We want to be in the upper position. I mean, you hang around with little bitty kids, and you can see some of them playing their jockeying for position kind of games with one another. In a healthy sense of personal development, we can learn how to read those kinds of tendencies and modulate them. And we can turn them into reasonable kinds of behaviors. Instead of selfishness, we have self-preservation. Or instead of control over other individuals, we can have a sense of organization without having to step all over other individuals, et cetera, et cetera. There are times, though, when early on, some individuals so don't have the necessary tools that are taught to them that some of their selfish and controlling and insensitive characteristics take off and run with them, and before you know it, it becomes central to their very character. Now, this first one, and I really am pleased to get this one because of the age of the person who's asking. This first one gets right to the heart of it. This individual says, a 10th grader here. Okay, so you're 15 or 16 years old. I am so thrilled that you're watching the videos that we have here, because this is where this is a great time for you to learn about human nature. This person says, a 10th grader here. One of my ex-friends is the worst guy I have ever met. He always wants to be the center of attention. He very subtly makes people around him believe that he's far superior than them. He always insults and mocks others and retaliates with anger. If someone makes the slightest joke about him, he's very impulsive and often engages in fights, though in insignificant things, he's very deceptive. And he's the most egotistic guy I've ever met. And then the question is, so is he a sociopath or a narcissist or a normal guy? Now, first, let me congratulate this young person for being so articulate and being able to say this at this stage in life. Okay, so is this person that he or she describes a sociopath, a narcissist, or is this just normal? First of all, no, this is not normal. Okay, when somebody goes into all of these different behaviors, notice how many things that are mentioned here, and it's quite a bit. Center of attention, feels like he's far superior. Insults, mocks, retaliates with anger. If you slightest joke about him, he becomes very impulsive. In fighting insignificant things, he's very deceptive, egotistical. That's not normal. That's not good. We each can have our moments. I mean, I look back when I was 16 years old. It's like I was not exactly the picture of 100% maturity. I mean, I was a nice kid and all, but I mean, I had my issues just like you did too. But these kinds of things are rather exaggerated. Now, based on what this person is asking about, I'm going to go ahead and say you're looking at a budding sociopath. Now, let's keep in mind that we can't really give the diagnosis of narcissism to someone who's under the age of 25 or so, because it takes that long for a young person to have full brain development, and so some of the impulsivity and all the rest is not as fully contained as it might be later on in life. But so here we have somebody, let's say somewhere in the neighborhood of 16, showing these kind of things, and the odds for adjustment don't look good. We're not going to write this person off completely, but let's go back and do a little primer. When we're talking about a narcissist, we're talking about the high control, etc. But then sociopathy takes it a step further, and it means that they've completely lost their moral compass. Their conscience is very poorly developed, if developed at all, and they defy authority. They defy any kind of accountability, and whatever rules might be out there, rules of civility and decency, are just completely blown away. And pretty much everything that this young person is describing fits into that. And so I can't say with 100% certainty that this person is going to be a full-blown narcissist in their later years, or sociopath in their later years, but the potential does not look good. Part of the problem is once a child and then a teenager and then a young adult starts going into this space, they wind up receiving reinforcement from the outside world that just makes their responses even stronger. For example, if you have some kid that's the classroom bully, or just mean and harsh and mistreats people, then other folks say, yeah, there goes a bad apple right there. And so many times the reputation just gets so strong that it sticks. Okay, we have another question here. This person is talking about someone who's 20 years old. Can a person be a narcissist at 20 years old? My ex and I married young, and we seem to have a good rhythm. Well, within the first year, a switch flipped. He was no longer willing to listen, only to demand obedience. So here you got a 21-year-old guy already going down that path. And he would come down hard on my shortcomings, and if I brought this up, he would turn it around to be my fault. Classic victim shaming. And here you think, somebody's in their early 20s already doing this? Over the 24 years we were married, it got increasingly worse, with him screaming at me for hours until I'd finally snap. And then he'd be happy because he exposed my true nature, in quotes. Even now, post-divorce, he's still trying to control everything and blame me. So is it possible he's been a narcissist this whole time, even before we were married? Now, again, we go back and say that when somebody is 20 years old, they're beginning to show more and more of their true colors, but we can't say 100% for certain that person is a narcissist at that time. But the ingredients are all there, the foundation is all there, and unfortunately, the older they get, then the more they just lean more and more into it. Sometimes, unlike the first illustration, sometimes young people can hide some of their narcissism, at least for a while. And they can be real good at, y'all remember the Eddie Haskell character on Leave It to Beaver? Hello, Mrs. Cleaver. My, you look nice today. And then behind the scenes, he was a jerk and just a wiseacre and all the rest. Some people can pull that kind of stunt and try to pretend like they're a whole lot nicer than they really are. And to the point to where Eddie Haskell became kind of a sweeping kind of a depiction or a caricature of the pleasant deceiver and all. And that sounds like that's what you have there. My guess is that with this young lady, looking back saying, well, at 20, it didn't seem to be the case. My guess is there were probably some small signs that may have come through. And she just ignored it, like love wins and all like that. We'll conquer all of that. But then over time, they just can't stop themselves. I have a recollection of a woman that I had met around age 20, and like 30 years later, I was invited to a birthday party, and I hadn't seen her or her husband, who I knew actually a lot better. And she always had seemed like a nice person, but at age 50, it's like, wow. This is one of the meanest people that I've ever met. And I tried to reconnect with her and the husband. It's like, this is bad news. Something happened. Sometimes it can switch. And they can start out being very good and have a good reputation, but other times they just can't stop it. All that to say, budding narcissists tend to have such a poor foundation for emotional management, what I refer to as emotional competence, that they can perhaps learn the game of, let's try to look good for a while. That first one didn't even bother to care, didn't even bother to go into that space. The second one apparently did. But narcissism can be such a strong driving force that if it's truly on the inside of the individual, they're not going to be able to stop themselves. So how early in life can it happen? The seeds usually are established very early in life, and then it can just build and build, and without the appropriate kind of tutelage or modeling or education, then some kids grow up and they don't really have much of a chance because they don't know how to stop once the train starts going. So hopefully this kind of gives you an idea of how early this can start playing out. And if you have someone in your life who's of this stage of that's being described in these two illustrations, I hope that you can be instrumental in letting them know, hey, there's a better way, and you model and you teach and all of that. And the earlier we can get to people with respect to these kind of behaviors, the better off all of us are going to be. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of insight as to what we might be dealing with. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button and we'll keep more videos coming towards you. Now, I know that sometimes as you're trying to delve into this and get some understanding, you might need some therapy. You know that I've been sponsored by the people at BetterHelp.com. Their link is below our video here. If therapy is warranted, please invest in yourself and get the help that you would need. In addition, I invite you to look into my website. It has lots of information on there. It's a huge website, several hundred articles, and also my courses on anger management, on boundaries, on healthy connections, finding yourself despite the controllers. Each course has at least 25 teaching videos, along with handouts and questions. We have my webinars and, like I say, my articles, my books. So please avail yourself to all of that. The whole purpose of this channel is for teaching and learning, and I hope you take advantage of all of that. So narcissism begins typically in the earliest years, of course, and if they don't have that proper kind of training that can bring them out of it, then it can become so habituated. It's kind of like learning a language. Once you've learned your native language, then you can still learn a new language as you're an adult, but the older you get, the more difficult or unnatural it can feel, and that's kind of the way it is with your psychological language. And so I hope this kind of gives you some good awareness of what you're dealing with. And I'm hoping you can be a role model for those who are younger, and you can show them, here's what Team Healthy looks like. Watch this. I'd like to be a mentor. And in doing so, maybe we can cut some of it off at the pass before it gets to be too bad.